Thank you very much for your invitation, and again, my apologies for His Excellency, Mr. Lahsan Haddad, who really couldn't be here and really wanted to be here with you because I think he's a fan of this, of the ICD, and he follows a lot your activities. He has been appointed for some governmental activities really at the latest, so I hope to be representing him a good way. I want to also to thank His Excellency, the Ambassador of Morocco here in Germany, who really, preceded my speech by a very interesting presentation about Morocco, which is very important for us in tourism. If you don't have this context and you don't have these assets, our ambassador have been talking about, you cannot develop tourism. And we are really fortunate in Morocco to have those assets, and we really build our strategy in tourism on that because we believe that we can offer a lot. Just before talking about Morocco, and just to give some words about some context in tourism, in international tourism, and the trends that make the theme that you have chosen for your conference very relevant, which is creative economy, sustainable tourism, and sustainable foreign investment. I think this is very important issues regarding national branding, because tourism is really a very important sector, and still ministers of tourism around the world still have to struggle to show how important is tourism. Although we have some figures internationally that shows that tourism is a real industry, an important one, that contributed during those last decades to the economic and social growth, and deepening very important diversification and competition against the destinations, because they all have assets, important assets, natural assets, cultural assets, and they have some unique things to promote. And tourism internationally contributes to 10% to the GDP, so it makes it to the global GDP. It makes it a very important sector in that way, but it is also an important sector in terms of creating jobs. This is what have been said by our ambassador for Morocco, but it's right globally. One amongst 11 jobs created worldwide is a tourism job, direct creation job, because we know also tourism contributes indirectly to developing other sectors like agriculture, construction sectors, and others. And if you compare it as a service sector, it contributes to the commerce, to the commerce. 30% of the contribution. So it's also a very important sector. And we are more than one trillion tourists around the world. So we have been traveled in 2014 in growth by 4.3%, and we are expected to be 1.8 billion tourists in 2030, which means that the growth is very important. But the sharing of the market in tourism is evolving. In the 1980s, it used to be the most important share of tourism was going to Europe with more than 60%, and nowadays it is less than 40%. It is around 30%, and we have the growth in different regions like Africa, like Middle East, and also Asia and the Pacific, which are getting their part from this growth. So it means that there is a lot of competitions. We are more and more tourists traveling around the world, but there are also some trends making us travel differently and want some experience, some astonishing experiences, because travel really has to do with experience. The travelers today, the consumer we are targeting are really changing their way of traveling. They are looking for something different, for some unforgettable experiences, for living culture, and also sharing things with the locals. This is what you said, Mr. Ambassador, and it is very important. We are also facing some changes in the way we are buying tourism because of some revolutions in terms of internet, which made really things very very different now. We are talking about sharing economy. We are talking about social media, about how the mobile phones are also tools, very important tools in marketing aspects. So these are very important issues regarding tourism nowadays, because it means that digital content is very important, because platforms for promoting tourism are becoming very important, and social medias also. But we have also a consumer which is very also aware about the future of its planet. You also mentioned it, Your Excellency, and it is important that we preserve our planet, because it's somehow our main asset for making tourism, so we need to preserve it, and also to preserve and evaluate our cultural assets, because also it's something very important for people who are traveling. So this means that sustainable tourism is also a real answer to some of the issues we are facing to develop tourism. And we are also a sector that suffers a lot from any geopolitical changes, and what we are living nowadays, especially in the region, is very impacting about the growth in tourism and the way we promote tourism. So, but we are a resilient sector. And because I always say that, you know, traveling nowadays became, if you take the Maslow pyramid, I think travel is not that high as it used maybe to be when we draw this pyramid, because people need to travel. It became something which is basic. We need to travel. So this makes it resilient. People forget, and people want to travel again and to experience new things. And regarding all those trends and all those issues, I think sustainable tourism, but also creative economy, is kind of answer that we can bring if we want to develop tourism. So it was just an introduction about tourism and some thoughts I wanted to share to contribute to this theme. And coming back to Morocco, of course, we have looked at all those issues when we built our strategy, and we are now in the phases of updating it, because we are at the midterm of our strategy, because we have a 10-year strategic plan, which started in 2010, and we are now also trying to actualize this strategy and to see this new evolution of the trends and the new issues we have to address regarding marketing. In Morocco, we receive more than 10 million tourists, which makes us, in terms of arrivals, the first destination in Africa, and we contribute to 7% of the GDP, and we represent something like $6 billion income. And the domestic tourism is also important. It became it's the first market for us, with 32% of the activities. We have two main destinations, which are Marrakesh and Agadir, which represent 70% of the activities. We have facilities, important infrastructures in terms of bed capacity. We have 230,000 beds right now, and we are expecting to double the size of the sector. And how we built our strategy, I mean, we took into consideration all those issues, and we wanted to have destinations which can distinguish itself in the region, in the African region, but also in the Mediterranean region, where sustainable tourism is really at the heart of the strategy. And this is what I want to share with you. When we built our strategy, we really started from our assets and from the territory. So we wanted to be a bottom-up strategy. We tried to see how we can build clusters with making some assets, putting assets together, so touristic assets, cultural, natural, etc., in the regions, and trying to build destinations, because we wanted tourism to be a driver for the socio-economic development in all the country, and not concentrated only in one or two destinations, which is still the case today. And we aim to develop 8 destinations, 8 touristic destinations, each one having its own positioning, and sometimes based essentially on beach destinations, but sometimes on cultural destinations and also on natural destinations, so that we have a balanced offer of products. and also some destinations that are not competing together but complementing the offer that the sector is offering in terms of touristic offer. So this is a first pillar if you want to talk about sustainability in our destination. This is something very important to make sure that we have a good distribution of the wealth that is coming from tourists, and also that it benefits to local populations. They get something from the development of the tourism. And in terms of developing the offer also, our main issue and our main challenge today is to diversify our offer, to be capable of covering all the expectations of the tourists that we are bringing in Morocco in terms of beach destination, nature destinations, in terms of sports activities, in terms of event MICE activities, in terms of cultural activities, which is a very important also pillar in our strategy, because I talked about 8 destinations. 4 of them are supposed to be really concentrating on cultural assets and having a cultural positioning. So for us, the culture is very important, and we are basing our strategy on, in terms of developing the offer and the product, on six programs which are very important. One, which is called Azure 2020, which means to develop resorts, but some resorts that are respectful of the nature and the destination we are developing them, and we put some consideration to make them more and more eco-resorts. So this is a very important challenge for us, to develop resorts that have an important size to make us capable to be competitive with other beach destinations around the world, but also to make them respectful for the environment, regarding to the use of water, regarding the construction, the way that we build them, and also regarding the employment that they are creating, but also activities that they offer to the local communities around the resort, so that we don't have some ghettos where we have, tourists there and no interaction between the tourists and what is happening behind the resorts, and especially in the mountains, in the rural areas. So our objective is to create these linkages between big projects, important projects, to be capable to bring important numbers of tourists, and then make it kind of also markets for the rural areas that we have behind the mountains, the desert, and also some destinations where we have niche activities like ecotourism. We also have an important program on ecotourism, and which especially in the rural area. Donc our objective is to develop an integrated offer of product, to develop also to activities for the women who are working there with handicraft, with some local products, the selling of local products, developing some routes in the rural areas, and developing also capacity, bed capacity, of course, adapted to the situation where we are developing it. And there is also an important program, as I said, in terms of cultural heritage marketing, which includes, I mean, like you said, Mr. Ambassador, the festivals, but also the development of the museums, which are very important assets, and also which includes the evaluation of our medinas, which has a very important patrimony. There are ancient medinas, which are very historical and important patrimony, and very unique kind of destination. We are trying to develop tourism in those medinas and bring activities for people, economic activities for people who are living into the medinas, making them living places with very important cultural patrimony. And we also have a very important program with the Casbahs you are seeing here in the screen, to like the experience in Spain or in Portugal with the Posadas. And the objective is to have some high value added bed capacity in those Casbahs, making them, I mean, preserving them, because otherwise it is a patrimony that we are losing, and making them bed capacity and offering for tourists very exceptional experience. This is regarding to the product, but also when it comes to the development of this product, of course, creative economy is very important, because bringing this marketing of the cultural assets with technology is very important, and this is something we are trying to work on. The ambassador talked about the cities that are under development in Morocco, and they have very important programs with developing big assets, big museums, big art cities, but the important also those cities are also integrating the concept of smart cities. So there is this reflection in Casablanca, for example. We have Rabat, which is positioning itself as cultural destination, green destination. So there are also a lot of issues with urban tourism that we are thinking about. And when it comes to the product offer, we are also working on the touristic environment, which is important, because when you bring tourism, the infrastructure is important, but also all the experience they are going to have in the city, in the destination is important, with the transportation, with the customs at the airport, with all those facilities, and the urban infrastructure is very important. So we are working with local government, because this is very important to have a partnership, public-region partnership, especially in the process. Morocco is under a process of regionalization, important process. So the regions are going to have more and more prerogatives in terms of developing tourism, and it is important that they are aware of all those issues, so that we work with them. And we just signed this year a charter for touristic cities to engage in the local government in developing the cities in a way that they are friendly for tourists, but also, of course, for the people who are living there. And we included this concept of smart cities, of sustainable tourism, of accessibility. So all those assets are included in this charter. Then we also work a lot on the marketing. We have also a marketing strategy, which is supported by our tourism board in Morocco, and with its representations abroad. Our strategy first started with the traditional markets, which are the European markets and the traditional ones which are closer to Morocco. And we started with some specific segments. And our challenge today, which are, the couples that come for short time visiting, and now we are targeting a second wave of segments, which are family, for example, segments of tourists, because they stay longer and they come in a group. But of course, this means that there is another challenge in developing, diversifying the product, animation products, etc., which is something we are also working on. And of course, we are now targeting new markets, of course, and emerging markets like the BRICS and the Eastern Europe markets, because we believe that there is also a potential for us to grow our share of market. And this we do it by traditional ways of marketing. We work a lot with the distribution and the partnership with the tour operators, but we believe now, considering also the share of tourists that we bring to Morocco, which has changed a lot, because we used to have 70% of the share of our marketing. I mean, the tourists coming to Morocco, we're coming with tour operators. Now it's the opposite. So we bring more individual tourists, tourists coming with groups. So meaning that it is also a challenge in the way we are marketing. We, of course, need to work with the distribution, with the tour operators, the classic tour operators. We need to work on the air transportation, and we do a lot on that, but we also need to focus on digital marketing, and there is also an important plan with the tourism board. They are working on it to develop this kind of e-marketing and to use the social media, to use the B2C platforms at the national level, but also pushing the regions to develop their own platforms. So this is the challenge for us now, is to achieve this second wave, this other way of marketing the destination, using the social media, using the websites, using the online operators, but also using creative economy as a mean of development. The human resources is also a challenge, an issue. We work on that, but maybe in terms of time, we don't have time to go through it. But two main issues is to develop the skills also of the people who are going to work in the industry, because the quality of service is very important. And also we are talking about new challenges, new trends of consuming. The people who are going to work in the sector needs to be aware of all those trends, all those new technologies, all those ways of promoting tourism, all those ways of bringing service to the tourists we are targeting. And the other one is the attractivity of the sector itself for people to work in it. And this is something we work on, we try to work on with the professionals and the private sector, because it's important that people who come to tourism are also have visibility on their evolution, because tourism generally creates jobs, but we need also to talk about sustainable jobs, and jobs that give to the people who are working in the sector visibility on their evolution, that they can be proud of working in the sector. And this is also an issue that we try to work on. And there is also a plan about competitiveness, which is important. The sector of tourism is really majority composed of SMEs, which needs really to be given some assistance, technical assistance and financial assistance. And in this regard, we also include all those new challenges like sustainable tourism, like the technologies. We push really those SMEs to include those kind of new issues in the way they are managing their companies. And at the last but not the least, and the most important, and the one I like most, is the plan for sustainability. All what I've been talking about in terms of developing our touristic strategy, aims at the end of the day to develop a sustainable tourism strategy, but we also try to have a plan to make it possible. So of course in the planning phase, as I said, we are trying to have this fair distribution of the wealth issued from tourism, having those 8 destinations growing together to be competitive internationally. But also we did also plan our objective of doubling the size of the sector by taking into consideration the assets, but also the constraints. So we have been really innovative in this way, because we try to have an assessment, an environmental assessment, and also to take into consideration the pressure that tourism is going to have on the local communities. And then we made some benchmark and put the borderline that we don't want to go beyond, so that we can make tourism really sustainable for the people and bringing added value and not the opposite. This is in the planning phase. But if we want to have a sustainable destination, we need to make sure that in all the life cycle approach, in the phases of developing tourism, we take into consideration sustainability. So we try to use different tools to make sure that in the phase of investment, the investors respect some rules so that we have sustainable investment. But also in the phase of operations, we try also to put some conditions through the regulation, but also through the incentives to push the operators to operate in a sustainable manner. And then we also are trying to work on the evaluation, because if we say we want to be a model in terms of sustainability in the Mediterranean region, because this is the positioning we choose for our tourism in Morocco, we need to have some figures, we need to have some monitoring tool. So we also work on that, and and then we have this life cycle approach in terms of sustainability. And also regarding marketing, we try to put the assets of sustainability, this authenticity, identity, the cultural identity of Morocco, and all the assets that we include in sustainability in also our marketing strategy. And Morocco is really very engaged, of course, in developing sustainable tourism in Morocco. But as the ambassador says, Morocco has chosen sustainability as a way of development as a whole. And he also wants to be at the front in terms of defending this sustainable development. So you have talked about the climate change issue and the choice that Morocco has done in terms of energy and so on, and being in the front, in the scene as a leader in terms of sustainable development. And for tourism is the same. We've been very active internationally in promoting sustainable tourism as a lever of development, as sustainable tourism in the agenda of development in the United Nations. So we've been actively participating in the international task force who was created by the UN when they were preparing for the CDD, with which was supposed to work on the priorities for sustainable development. And we've been also very active in the Global Partnership for Sustainable Tourism, which emerged from the recommendations of this CDD, and which was a really very important partnership, including countries and also NGOs and financial institutions, to advocate the sustainable tourism cause internationally. And this really conducted to have sustainable tourism present in the Sustainable Development Goals, because it's the first time that we have tourism mentioned in the Sustainable Development Goals. And Morocco have been there during all those 10 years of work. We have been the CEO of the Global Partnership for Sustainable Tourism from 2013 to 2015, and now this partnership have been transformed into the what is called the 10YFP, which is the 10-year framework of programs for sustainable tourism. And Morocco is one of the co-leads of this program with the UNWTO, France, and South Korea. So this is also to say that we are trying to do our best to advocate sustainable tourism internationally and to showcase how important it is in terms of bringing socio-economic development. So maybe I will stop here, because when I start talking about sustainable tourism, I don't stop. Maybe I will just add a comment saying that what we did until now is working on the offer, structuring the strategy and the approach. But what is important to change the scale, because I think the main issue for sustainable tourism globally is to change the perception of sustainable tourism as a niche tourism, as ecotourism only, but to make it very general approach, something which is, when we talk about tourism, we don't need to add sustainable, we need to say this is a general approach. And if we want to work on that, we of course need to work on the offer, working on the regulations, on the incentives, on the monitoring tools, on promoting the success stories, but we need to work on the consumer. So this is the second phase. We need to work on the consumer to make him more aware about sustainability, but also we are consumers aware of sustainability, but when we want to consume sustainably, we need to have some demonstrations, we need someone to tell us how we can consume. So this is very important now to address the consumer, to make this sustainable tourism a general approach and not only a perception of a niche economy or a niche in an offer in general of tourism. So thank you very much for your attention. I hope I haven't been too long, and I am ready for your questions.
Thank you very much, dear Ms. Roudies. And I would like to ask you to stay on the stage, and also, Your Excellency, can I invite you again to join her? And now, I'd like to open the floor for your question and comment. Okay, coming.
Thank you again for your speech. It was very interesting here. I'm come from Slovakia. My question is just, today we hear a lot about the sustainable tourism, and you already said about you have some regulation about it. My question is like, do you have any limits behind that Morocco no way want to go behind? And or in some region you don't want to have any investment? Is there some limits? Thank you.
I will not say that we have, this limit, but we put all the regulation. You know, in Morocco, in general, for the investment in general, not specifically for tourism, we have a very important regulation that have been adopted regarding, the seaside, for example. If you want to invest in the seaside, we have a brand new law which have been adopted about that, making that you have some regulations and some specifications you need to respect regarding, the respect about the line of the coast. You cannot construct in a distance, and there are also a law that makes it mandatory that you have a study, an impact study for the investment you are doing, environmental impact study. So you need to have this authorization about a commission, which is a multi-sectorial commission that examines your study and see your plan for limiting your impact on environment. And regarding tourism, we also are trying to push beyond that, and we are trying to, because tourism is a regulated sector, so the touristic activities, if you want to have a hotel, you need to be classified by the ministry by the government. And in this classification, for example, we are looking into we are renewing the classification criteria, and we are putting some criteria on sustainability in terms of regarding water use, regarding energy efficiency, regarding sensibilization of the consumer, sensibilization of the workers. And also for the investment in tourism, more and more we try to push, because, if you want to attract tourism, you need to have a balance between the conditions you impose and also the attractivity of the investment. But more and more we try to impose some conditions. For example, we have been the first sector imposing for the developer for resorts, in the beach resorts, to have planned for the reuse of water. So the golf must be, for example, if you develop golfs, you need to have a plan for the reuse of water. So you can arroser. you can use this water to the green areas you have in your resorts. So. This is the issue with sustainable tourism. You need to develop, because it's also an important part of sustainability, but you need to put some conditions. And when we planned our strategy, we looked at this, and we try to orient investments in some destinations to some activities regarding to the constraints that we can have in terms of environment, or also in terms of pressure we are putting on the soil.
Yep. Questions? Comments? For me personally, your country is a big dream. I really would like to have chance as soon as possible to visit it, and we'll be really very happy. Final, if you have, from your side, final comments, if you have, of course, Your Excellency. Okay.
Well, again, thank you very much. It's always very interesting to share with young population, young people here present with us. I hope that they will be interested more and more about the Kingdom of Morocco, which is, I would like to stress this aspect, in the direct neighboring of Europe. Probably now what is dominating, the political scene, the debate in Europe in general, and particularly in this very interesting and hospital country like Germany, is the question of migration and refugees. We are speaking about tourism. As said by Mrs. Secretary General last year, more than 10 million tourists, among which a lot of Europeans, the majority of Europeans, came to Morocco the best condition possible. So this is, trends from both sides. And we have to anticipate the future. We have to deal, of course, with the problematics. We have to, fight against the illegal, let's say, activities, be it for migration or refugees, etc. But at the same time, we should focus more and more developing all our potential, all the opportunities offered for both sides. And for us, Germany is a very important, of course, country and also market for tourism. And the strategy developed currently by our authorities, by the governance, it is not because Mrs. Secretary General is here, but I would like to stress that if the tourism sector is experiencing some success currently, as I said, with the resilience, but also with the vision presented to you, because of the governance also is changing very deeply and strongly in Morocco. Just to refer to one aspect of the various aspects of the governance, this is an open debate within the family of tourism in Morocco, but also all those interested. We organize periodically the so-called Assis, if we show like a forum like the one we are here today, very open with all those interested, the public sector, the private sector, the professionals, even some consultants coming, dialoguing. As I said, also for the political, development in Morocco, we are developing this culture of exchanging, of debating, I do hope, as we did with you this afternoon. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much too. Once again, Your Excellency, Ms. Secretary General, and now I'm very pleased on behalf of you, actually, on behalf of Moroccan Embassy, to invite you for a reception. Welcome.